One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. Are you someone that creates solo content, or are you about to launch a new type of content and you're like, I wonder if I should make solo stuff on this platform? If that is you, you are going to love today's episode, because we are really diving into the solo content creator and what that looks like. Now, I know that you're listening to this and two things just happened. One, you either said, finally, Crystal, thank you so much for really focusing on solo creators. I haven't done anything for the solo creators in a while, so this one's just for you. Or two, you are currently doing only interviews for either your podcast or your YouTube channel, and you just tensed up a little bit. And you're like, I don't know that solo stuff is for me. Okay, thanks, bye. And that's okay. That's okay. It's okay, because I know a lot of people get freaked out. I've heard from many of you directly whenever I ask you, are you doing interviews or solo stuff? You say, well, interviews are just easier. Like, it kind of freaks me out to, like, I'm just supposed to sit here and talk into the microphone with no one else around. Like, when do I know to start and when do I know to stop? And what if I get lost and go on this weird tangent? Like, things do get super weird. I'll be honest. Like, whenever you're first starting with solo content, it can get a little weird, especially in the beginning. So that is why I wanted to focus on this today. Like, solo content is the sole focus of everything we're talking about, because as weird as it is, I feel like if you have more resources, more ideas for you to kind of pull from and learn from someone that has gone before you, like at this point, okay, this is going to blow your mind. At this point, I've mentioned before, I've done over 1,000 podcast episodes, right? And you're like, well, Crystal, this is episode 378. How have you done more than 1,000? My solo podcast is the one where I've done over what I guess 600 at this point. Like, I don't even know, 660, I think. It's wild. And that's in 2 years. It's in 2.5 years. Yeah, the Potty Report, my daily show, which is all solo episodes. It's Monday through Friday, 5 minutes or less. It's all solo. I don't have any guest on there. It is just me, and it's usually quick tips or something I'm sharing behind the scenes, but it's all solo content. So I definitely feel like the expert here in the things that I've learned, how I've gotten better, what I did right, what I did wrong. And I'm going to share my top 10 resources for solo creators today. And many of these that I'm going to share with you do have like the title of podcasters in there. Solo podcaster. This is for a solo, like all the things. That is who my audience was for a very long time. But now we're focusing on content creators. So if you are a solo content creator, this is for you. Video, audio, text, whatever. These are for you. If you're creating stuff by yourself, that is what we are focusing on today. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Profit Podcast, where we teach you how to start, launch, and market your content with confidence. I'm your host, Crystal Profit, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of content creation, this is the show that will help be your time-saving shortcut. So let's get right to it, shall we? Okay, so I haven't done like a content roundup in a long time, so I'm really excited about this today. And what I mean by content roundup is I'm not creating a ton of brand new content for this episode today. I'm actually going to be going through a lot of the resources that are already out there. Like everything we're going to talk about today has already been published. So you can either listen to it on the Profit Podcast, or you can go directly to my YouTube channel and go watch all the things that I'm going to talk about. But also I'm going to link to them in the show notes, so you don't have to like go all over the place to find these. They're all going to be in one beautifully curated list. So that's like the highlight of today. So if you want to go to crystalprofit.com/episode 378, that's where everything is that we're going to talk about today. But like I said, I haven't done a content roundup in a while, and this one is actually going to be a little bit of like a duplication of some of them, because if you've been around here for a while, you know that I will do a weekly theme for my content. So what that means is I will have like one thing that I talk about on the podcast, and then I'll go and create a YouTube video with the same kind of context or actual examples where it's more visual. So even though some of them may have the same title, they will be slightly different in their content aspect, depending on whether it's a podcast episode, where obviously I'm going to share more examples and stories, versus a YouTube video where it's going to be like how to quick do this visual, like all the things. Okay. So I wanted to just kind of give that context for how all of this content I'm going to talk about is formatted. And then you can go to the resources and pick and choose the different ones that you need help with. Okay. So we're going to dive in. So these are the top 10 pieces of content I want you to go check out. Like if you're talking about, I really want to add solo content in 2023, you need to go look at all this. So number one, I have a video. This is my top video on my entire YouTube channel. Hang on. I was just looking at it. I was like, I need to look at that one, because it's like it's pretty mind blowing, because I know, I'm like clicking around here. I know that so many people want help with solo content. How do I know this? Well, because there's been 35,000 people that have watched this video. And what it's titled is the number one tip for solo podcaster. And this is one, it's funny because I actually vividly remember recording this video, because this was in 2020. 2020. I think it was in April 2020. Here, let me go back. Yeah, April 1st, 2020. We all know what kind of chaos was going on April 2020. And this video, I think, really resonated with a lot of people because it was just one of those that, you have to go watch it. You have to go watch it. It's only 5 minutes. That's another thing. My videos aren't super long. So this is one I think every creator should go watch because it's super, super important. Like it is the secret sauce to not only having solo content, but loving every second of what you're doing whenever you're creating your solo content. So go watch that video. I think everybody should. Like that's number one at the top of the list. Go watch that one. And then we're going to dive into number 2, which is solo podcast ideas, how to script or outline episodes. Because solo content is very different than interviews. Interviews, you'll typically sit down and say, okay, what do I want to know about this guest? Like, what are the top things that my audience would be interested in? And this one in particular, this is a video, and it's about how to script and outline your own ideas for your episodes. And I'll give it away, but I want you to go watch this video. This is like the behind the scenes secret. You interview yourself. You interview yourself. You interview yourself with the idea that your audience is asking these questions. And not in the sense of interviewing yourself, like what's your favorite color and where did you go to school? Not that type of stuff. But you are the expert in your podcast topic, in your video topic, in whatever you're creating. You are your content expert and you probably know more than your audience. So what are those questions that they are wanting to know? Write those down, and that is how you're going to create your solo episodes. Which brings me into resource number 3, which is solo podcast format, a how-to video. So I show you not only how to like interview yourself and set up the outlines, but also how to format everything. Because I believe that you need a format. You don't just need to turn on the mic and start talking. That's where tangents happen, and that's where you get lost in a rabbit hole and you realize, oh my gosh, I've been talking for 20 minutes. This is your internal dialogue to yourself. You look at how long you've been recording. You're like, I've been talking for 20 minutes. I don't know what the point of my story is, yet I'm still talking and I don't know, do I need to just stop talking at this point? Do I need to edit all of this out? And you just it gets awkward. Like there's so much awkwardness in solo content creation, which is why I want you to have all these resources so you don't feel as awkward. But I do want you to know it's fine. It's totally fine if you do feel awkward for a really long time until you find your groove, because that's what will happen. You kind of have to wade through the muckiness and messiness to get out on the other side. But that is a great one if you want to know how to format your solo content. And then number 4 is a solo podcast recording setup. Now, this one is a little bit more specific to podcasters, but I still think it could be helpful for someone that is looking at creating a YouTube channel and using it for podcasts. Like you want to do both, like have both in mind. Like I think it's a little bit harder if you're creating one piece of content and then you're asking like, well, what do I do with this afterwards? Or I really want to turn just if you're going to have both, you kind of need to know both. You can't just have experience in one or the other and think that everything will run smoothly when you go to publish it. So I recommend go watching the one about or go listen to this one because this is actually a podcast episode. And then that brings me to number 5, where I actually have a video on how it works. So this is what I was saying, like we have these in tandem where I did one on the podcast and then I was like, oh, I need to do that on the YouTube channel as well. So whether you're a visual person or you want to do, listen to the show, then I highly recommend either one of those. But maybe you listen to the podcast episode and then go watch the visual demonstration of what that looks like. We're already on number 6. Okay, number 6 is one of my favorite ones because it's a little controversial. It's actually 6 and 7 because, again, it's a podcast episode and a YouTube video. And it's a little controversial because I don't think you need headphones when you're recording a solo podcast. I don't. I really don't. And I don't know if it's just that I'm really confident in my levels whenever I'm recording or what, but right now, I am talking into my microphone. I do not have headphones on. It bothers me. If I don't need headphones, I am not wearing headphones. I don't know what that's about because I love my AirPods. I have AirPods, the noise canceling ones that were the best gift ever, but I don't wear headphones. I don't, unless I am in an interview and I need to, like I do recommend them for an interview. But when you're recording by yourself and you've done your mic check, you've made sure, like do a mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. If you've seen any of my videos where I do that, it's pretty ridiculous, but I do. But you don't need headphones. You don't need them, okay? Like I said, just go watch the video. I get a little ranty and like, oh, okay, this is why you don't need headphones. I go a little bit more like on the passionate side of it, but I don't. You don't need them, okay? Bottom line, that's where I stand. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. So that's number 6 and 7. Number 8, how to host a solo podcast. This was a really fun interview that I did. So it's kind of an oxymoron, right? It's all about how to host a solo podcast, but it was an interview that I did with my friend Ash Borland. So shout out Ash. We did this, we just had this fantastic conversation about solo content and why it's awkward and how to do it better. And I just think that it's one that you need to go watch. So this is actually a YouTube video, but it was incredible to hear his questions, his insights, because it matched my own whenever I was first getting started with my solo content. And I think that it's just super, super helpful if you are just like, I have no idea where to start. I don't even know like what to do. I don't know how to be. It's kind of like that confidence. Like, I don't know how to show up with this confidence. Go watch that. You need that. If confidence is something you're struggling with more so than like the how-to and the technicalities behind setting things up, you need to go watch that. Go watch that video. It'll be super, super helpful. And then number 9, solo podcast. So 5 tips for success. I'm just going to leave that as it is. You need to go check out the show notes and watch that video because it will be very helpful. And then number 10, this is the one. If you are like, Crystal, I just want to see you do it. Like, can I just go take me behind the scenes and show me how you record a solo podcast? I actually took a clip from whenever I used to do live recordings of the Potty Report. You can actually go to my YouTube channel and find previous recordings where I turn on my camera, I have Hindenburg open, and you can see what it looks like when I set things up behind the scenes. You can see me recording episodes of the Potty Report. Like, what is she doing with her face? Like, what is she, is she using her hands? Where's the mic position? Like, what does it look like? I'm actually using my hands right now. Like, you can see me. I don't know. I do that from time to time. I get very like vocal with my hands whenever I'm on my solo episodes, which is part of the reason why I don't turn the video on anymore because I'm sure I look absolutely ridiculous. That, and I have the highest bun on the top of my head right now, and I'm still in my PJs. So yeah, no video for me today. But this video is super helpful if you are someone that learns really well by seeing the mechanics behind the scenes. This is the type of learner that I am. I'm a very visual person. And if I can get a demonstration, a walkthrough, a how-to, a step-by-step, this is how it's done, then go watch this video. So it's recording a solo podcast behind the scenes. You're going to see everything that I do, and it's not going to be a mystery of how it's done. But that's it. Those are my top 10 resources. I want you to go watch them, listen to them. If you are wanting to create solo content now or in the future, you need these resources. They're going to be so helpful in taking those baby steps to add solo content or to make it better. Because maybe some of you are listening to this and you're like, I create solo content today, but it's awkward and it's hard and I want it to be easier. If that's you, you really need to go look at all this content and see which ones are going to help you in your journey. But that's all I have for you today. But I wanted to tell you about something super special because if you are looking to start a podcast before or at the start of 2023, this is for you because I have a special Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal that's coming up that you don't want to miss. So for the first time ever, I'm offering the 3-piece podcast bundle. And in it, you're going to find my main program. So this is Profit Podcasting. This is my main podcast course, as well as the hottest ticket item. I think that I've sold more of these in 2022 than any other product in my suite, and that is the Ultimate Podcast Launch Toolkit with checklist and swipe copy and all the things to help you launch your podcast. And then a really popular training that I have called 1 Year of Content in 1 Hour. So you will literally go into 2023 with enough content ideas to take you into 2024. Like that's pretty mind-blowing. Like you get all of that in like an hour, in 1 hour, 1 year of content in 1 hour. I love this training so much. So with all of these products combined into one single bundle, you'll have everything you need to launch your podcast in 30 days or less. And when this opens, so the cart opens, mark your calendars, November 25th at midnight, I'm opening the cart. And for the first 5 people that purchase, I'm throwing in a signed copy of my Amazon best-selling book, Start a Binge-Worthy Podcast, that I'm going to ship directly to you. So it's not like, oh, here's a code, go to Amazon. No. I'm going to sign it, maybe even put a little special note in there, and I'm going to ship this book directly to you. So mark your calendars, November 25th. It's my first ever Black Friday, Cyber Monday bundle, and I'm so excited about it. So if you're looking to start a podcast, stay tuned because it's going to be so much fun. You're going to hear more about it soon, but that's all I have for you today. So go check out the show notes, crystalprofit.com/episode 378. You're going to find every single thing that we talked about here today. But as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.